On an autumn night, as the leaves paint the ground orange and brown, Anna and Lucas decided to venture out for a weekend away from the city. They found a charming cabin on Airbnb, tucked away in the heart of a dense forest, and thought it would be the perfect getaway. The path there was winding, surrounded by tall trees that seemed to whisper in the wind. Upon arrival, the cabin seemed even more enchanting than in the photos. It was made of dark wood, with a small porch at the front and surrounded by towering pine trees. They unpacked, lit the fireplace, and snuggled up on the couch, listening to the peaceful sounds of the forest. Night fell, and the starry sky could be seen through the windows. However, when the clock struck midnight, a strange sound broke the silence of the night. It was as if something was scratching the outer walls of the cabin. Lucas tried to reassure Anna, saying it was probably just an animal exploring the area. They tried to ignore it and refocused on the warmth of the fireplace. But the sound didn't cease. In fact, it seemed to be moving, circling the cabin, growing louder with each pass. With courage, Lucas grabbed a flashlight and opened the door to investigate. What he saw left him speechless. There was nothing there, just the darkness of the forest and the sound of branches swaying in the wind. Upon returning inside, they tried to convince themselves that it was just their imagination or the wind playing tricks. They decided to go to bed, hoping that sleep would take them away from their unease. Little did they know that the real adventure was just beginning. During the night, Anna woke up with the sensation of being watched. The room was cold, and a chilly breeze was coming from a window they remembered closing. She nudged Lucas, who woke up startled. They got up to close the window, but realized it wasn't possible. It simply wouldn't budge. As they struggled with the window, they heard a sound coming from outside. It was a whisper, almost like a song, emanating from the forest. The melody was hypnotic, inviting them outside. Driven by uncontrollable curiosity, they quickly dressed and decided to follow the sound. Walking through the forest, the flashlight barely penetrated the darkness. The whisper seemed to always be one step ahead, guiding them deeper into the forest. They knew they should turn back, but something held them back, an unknown force drawing them towards something or someone. Suddenly, the ground beneath them began to tremble, and a dense fog formed around them, further obscuring their vision. The whisper turned into a chorus, now clearly coming from multiple directions. Anna and Lucas clung to each other, realizing that something far beyond comprehension was happening. The fog began to dissipate, and they found themselves in a clearing illuminated only by the moonlight. In the center, there was a circle of ancient stones with inscriptions that seemed to tell ancient stories. And suddenly, the voices ceased, leaving only the sound of their own hearts beating. Lucas approached the circle, fascinated by the inscriptions. He touched one of the stones, and immediately, a bright light emanated from it, illuminating the entire clearing. Anna gasped as figures began to form within the light, figures that seemed human, yet entirely otherworldly at the same time. These figures began to dance around the circle, their ethereal forms gracefully moving in the moonlight. It felt like an ancient ceremony, a ritual that hadn't been performed in centuries. Anna and Lucas, despite their fear, felt mesmerized, unable to look away or move. As the dance continued, one of the figures approached them. It was a woman with serene features, but her eyes were of a deep void. She extended her hand, and in her palm was a small, glowing stone. "For protection," she whispered, her voice like the wind rustling through leaves. Lucas, hesitant, accepted the stone. The moment his fingers touched it, a wave of warmth spread through his body, and the feeling of fear dissipated. The woman smiled, and just as she came, she faded away with the other figures in the mist, leaving only the silent clearing and the stone in Lucas's hands. Looking around, they realized that the forest seemed different now, as if a peace had settled over the place. The path back to the cabin seemed clearer, almost illuminated by the moon. Without fully understanding what had happened, but feeling inexplicably calm, they returned to the cabin. Back and nestled in the warmth of the fireplace, they tried to process the adventure they had lived through. They knew something extraordinary had happened, something that would forever change the way they saw the world around them. The stone given by the ethereal figure softly glowed on the bedside table, a constant reminder of their experience. The next day, they woke up to the sound of birds singing. The forest seemed even more alive, bathed in sunlight. They decided to explore the surroundings of the cabin during the day, discovering the beauty and tranquility they hadn't noticed the night before. As they passed by the clearing where everything had happened, they found only a circle of ancient stones, with no sign of the figures or the mist. However, as they touched the stones, they felt a peaceful energy, as if the forest was thanking them. They decided not to tell anyone about the previous night, doubting that anyone would believe their story. But deep inside, they knew the experience had changed them. They had witnessed magic, the ancient power that still resided in that forest, guarded and protected from the views of the modern world. As they left the cabin at the end of the weekend, they looked back at the forest with a new appreciation. They promised to return one day, perhaps to uncover more about the mysteries that dwell there, or simply to remember that night when the impossible became reality. And so, Anna and Lucas journeyed back to their life in the city, taking with them the stone and the memories of an adventure they would never forget. The forest remained silent, keeping its secrets until the next travelers dared to enter its domain. But Anna and Lucas's story didn't end with their departure. In the weeks that followed, both felt a deeper connection with nature, noticing details that had previously gone unnoticed. The stone, now a prominent object in their home, seemed to remind them daily of their experience, emitting a gentle and comforting glow on the darkest nights. Lucas began to research the area where they found the cabin and the clearing. He discovered that the region was rich in legends and stories about ancient peoples who inhabited these lands, many of them known for their deep connection with nature and the universe. He began to wonder if what they had experienced was an encounter with the spirits of these ancient inhabitants, or something even more mysterious. Anna, on the other hand, felt a change within herself. She found herself calmer, more patient, and more receptive to the people around her. The stone seemed to have a soothing effect, and she often found it in her hands during moments of reflection. The experience in the forest taught her to cherish each moment more, finding beauty in the simplest places. They shared their story only with close friends and family, many of whom received the account with a mixture of skepticism and fascination. However, for Anna and Lucas, it didn't matter whether others believed or not. They knew what they had experienced, and that was enough. As time went on, life continued, but the adventure in the forest remained a bright point in their memories. They planned a return trip to the cabin, this time with the desire to explore more of the forest during the day and perhaps uncover more of its hidden mysteries. When they finally returned, the cabin welcomed them like old friends. The forest seemed to recognize them, with the wind whispering a warm greeting. This time, equipped with maps and an insatiable curiosity, they delved into the green depths, each step revealing more about the natural world and, indirectly, about themselves. During one of these explorations, they encountered an old man, a resident of the area, who told stories of the land and its ancient inhabitants. He spoke of how they believed in the unity of all living beings, in communication with the spirits of nature, and in the existence of power places within the forest. Lucas and Anna listened, amazed, realizing that their experience was not unique, but part of a much older tradition. The old man warned them, however, about the respect necessary when entering such sacred places. They understood that the forest was not just a collection of trees and animals, but a living being, full of wisdom and mysteries, ready to share its truths with those who approach with humility and an open heart. Anna and Lucas continued their explorations, each visit to the forest strengthening their connection with the environment around them. Life in the city, though necessary, now seemed incomplete without the regular periods of immersion in the tranquility and lessons of nature. And so, the story of Anna and Lucas became an ongoing journey of discovery, a reminder of the beauty and mystery that exist in the natural world. They learned that sometimes it's necessary to get lost to find oneself, and that forests, with their ancient secrets, hold the keys to many of the questions we forget to ask.